Hey there, fellow clumsy bakers. I got my hands on the ultimate of ultimate baking cookbooks, The Baking Bible by Rose Levy Beranbaum. This book is amazing. RLB is a legend in the baking world, and this book is her grand opus. Today, I'm making her classic brioche. This is my first time making brioche, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really intimidated. This dough can take as long as 3 days to set up, sometimes 4. If I'm taking an entire long weekend to bake some bread, I better not mess up. And it better be good. Spoiler alert, I killed it, and it was the best bread I have ever made. This recipe calls for the creation of a dough starter or sponge. I combined water, sugar, bread flour, all-purpose flour, instant yeast, and 2 eggs. Once that was combined, I combined the remaining dry ingredients, flour, sugar, and salt, and blanketed the starter with them. I left the starter covered in the dry ingredients to ferment, and after about an hour or 2 hours, my sponge grew and started peeking through the flour blanket. RBL said that this can ferment up to 24 hours. Apparently, it develops the flavors even more. I'm impatient, so I just let it go for 2. At this point, we're able to start the rest of the dough. With the stand mixer and my dough hook attachment, I added the rest of the dough ingredients. It's a lot of eggs and a lot of butter. As you can see, the dough is super silky and stays pretty wet, which is why it's suggested to mix this with the stand mixer. I'm not sure if I could handle doing this by hand, it's very sticky. But if you can do it in a stand mixer, you can do it with your hands too. I'm just not anywhere near there yet. Anyways, you definitely want to keep this dough pretty wet. It's not going to come together and ball up like most doughs do. I'm now going to put it in a bowl, cover it, and let it go for its first proof. Look how big it is. It started pushing up from the plastic wrap. After the initial proof, I stuck it in the fridge to firm up. After an hour in the fridge, I deflated the dough and put it back in the fridge for another hour. At this point, the dough is relaxed enough and firmed up enough to handle by hand. Isn't it crazy how much easier it is to handle now? I rolled out the dough and folded it into thirds. I then wrapped it in plastic and stuck it in the fridge for 24 hours. This can be refrigerated anywhere from 6 to 2 days. It's now the next day, and I'm ready to shake my loaf. I saw a beautiful braided brioche video from Manuela Kijelin, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, which I'll link down below. It's really helpful, and I think I'm getting a lot better at braiding. wanted to take this brioche to another level. Inspired by Manuela's video, I decided to get a little fancy with it and make my own lavender sugar. I ground a tablespoon of whole lavender with 3 tablespoons of sugar. I also added a pinch of salt just to cut down on the bitterness of lavender. After I divided the dough into 4 pieces, I rolled them into strands, coated them each in the lavender sugar, and was ready to begin my braid. I gathered all 4 pieces together at the top and slowly but surely began my braid. Over, under, over, and repeat. Over, under, over, over, under, over. Yeah, I'm definitely getting the hang of this, huh? Now that the dough is shaped and in its pan, it's ready to do its final proof before the oven. I topped it off with a little bit more lavender sugar and I popped it in. This bread was everything. The lavender sugar at the bottom absorbed into the bread. It created this sugary, soaked, light, fluffy cloud of a bread. Look at that inside. So much moisture, so much richness. It honestly was perfectly fine all by itself. I didn't need any butter. I didn't need to toast it. It was perfection as is. This bread was so much work, but I loved learning how to make it and would absolutely do it again. Have you ever tried making brioche? How'd I do for my first time? Any tips for improvement? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching.